We're going to test out a new format of videos. Well, it'll be across the season, but this is the test run for pre-season and for what games do we want to cover in the test?
Well, it's
EFL?
it's an improvement on what we did last season, right? So last season we just handpicked a load of Premier League games, but this year we're taking a slightly different approach. We're going to all pick 2 or 3 games out of any league. So it doesn't matter. It could be Premier League, could be League One, could be Farmers League, could be Bundesliga, could be any of them. We all just pick 2 or 3, and we come to the table with our picks, and we roast each other's picks, and we explain why we went with it and why it's a good idea and why it's a shit idea, basically.
But most importantly, we actually keep track of it so that we'll have a spreadsheet. We'll put it up publicly accessible or whatever, so that you can see who talks the talk, who walks the walk, who's got a good record and who's not.
God, I'm dreading it.
Yeah, we're going to give
Money.
everyone dough, right?
So every single week, each one of us has a tenner to spend, and we just keep track of who's on what overall purse. So if you
Because
win
that's actually
50
how
quid,
people bet as well, isn't it? Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
how I bet.
yeah.
I'd spend like maybe like a tenner a week and deposit it each week. Not really keep track myself, but what we will do is over the season work out who's profitable, who's
Yeah,
not.
first one that we do today is just going to be 3 outright picks for the season. There's no like format. It doesn't have to be 3 singles or 1 double and a single. It can be whatever you want. I've come with just 1 double today.
Yeah, exactly. You could, if you wanted, spend your whole tenner on one pick that's like just below evens.
Yeah, which is exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah. Or you could have like a quid 10 times on 100 to ones if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And then you might not win every week, but then when you do, it's big. It's whatever you want to be profitable. Come on! I've just realised that the business is now losing an extra
40
100
quid a week.
for nothing.
Yeah. For content purposes, mate.
Sound.
Content purposes.
They don't know they're born, these fucking subscribers, do they?
The Premier League is coming back very, very soon, but we're already in the mood for making some big predictions. As you will know from watching the channel all through last season, Sam was one to put his balls on the table very often. Well, we're starting early this year, and we're going to make some Premier League predictions. Who's going to win? Who's going to get relegated, who are going to be in those European positions, and maybe some shocks for you all. So I'm going to throw it to the big man himself, Sam. You know, you were the one who made bold predictions through last season. So what's your first one for the 25-26 season?
I have got a couple of bold ones, right? So I've actually lined it up so that kind of by accident, but I've got a banker, I've got a long shot, and I've got a kind of, here or there 4-1.
Which one are you most confident in?
Let's go with the long shot. I want to hear this.
The long
suspense is
shot
killing me.
is Alexander Isak, outright top scorer in the Prem.
Wow.
Reason being, let me justify this. He has got unreal data. His problem has been staying fit, hasn't it? So if he can stay fit, he can do it. That's basically what the bet is. But it's 7-1. So I think that is worth a smaller amount, obviously, but it's a good value pick based on the fact that if he can stay fit. That's what.
But you're going up against Salah and Haaland in that.
Salah's 33.
Yeah, but he was 32 last season, and he scored 40 goals or whatever he got.
No, Haaland is the big problem.
Haaland
You
as
could even
well.
hedge it if you wanted, though. I think you can get Haaland about evens, right? So if you really want to hedge your stake, you could do that. Put a bit on Haaland and then 7-1 on Isak.
Listen, mate,
it's free money.
I sat in
Free
front of
money.
this camera last season and heard you say how United were going to finish above Liverpool. Salah was finished. Ben Doak
Just remember
was
who
Liverpool's
edits it.
biggest home. So I'm not going to sit here and listen to you go through it all again, right? Salah is, for me, probably
Finished.
the most likely top goal scorer. And
Yeah.
then Haaland, and then I'd put a big gap, and then Isak. So you're taking on a lot of risk there.
For 7-1, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that for myself, but
It's a
how
long
much
shot.
you
What do you
putting
want me
on
to do
it?
for that? Quid. No, so
I
out
don't
on
like
my
that pick
tenner.
at all. I don't like that pick at all either.
Oh,
I think
God.
Salah is just Salah, and if there's no Salah, then it's all about Haaland as well. And this is going to be a Manchester City attack who have been rejuvenated. So they'll probably have still defensive issues, but look who's going to be feeding him, like Ren Cherky, one of the most creative midfielders in the world at the moment. I'm sorry, Sam. I'm going to go a big, fat, thumbs down.
Here's the thing, right? This is not me saying that I think Isak will be the top scorer. That is not what I'm saying. I don't think he will be.
Right.
It's just
So-
mathematically, it is worth betting on. Because if you put money on that every time for the next 8 seasons, you're going to win one of them. If you're spending a quid, you get your money back eventually.
Yeah, but this
You don't think 1 in
season's
8
coming.
with with these players? It's basically it's a value pick.
I'm not. Yeah, but I don't see the value in it 'cause I
Yeah.
just don't think it's going to
The
happen.
value is
Even
the
if it was
bookies'
t-
odds are better than the actual
Even if
chances
it
of
was
it
10
happening.
to 1, I wouldn't back it.
Well, each their own. It's a long shot for a reason, isn't it?
So how much you putting on it?
Out of my tenner,
Yeah.
oh, listen, yeah. I'm going to put £2 on it.
So
Big
we'll keep a
spender.
track through the season. What's your next pick?
My next pick, and I'm going to work my way down to the banker then, is Brentford to be relegated. Now, unfortunately, it was 4-1. In the time that we spoke about on the last video, they've obviously sold Mbeumo to United, and they're now only 7-2, but 3.5-1, basically. I still think that is a pretty decent pick for that money. Basically, again, you're not saying that they're going to get relegated. You're saying that it's decent value out of that pick because most likely it's the 3 promoted sides go down again. However, I could see Leeds maybe nipping in ahead of Brentford because Brentford have just appointed the fucking throwing coach as their manager. They've lost Tony, don't forget, halfway through the season last year. So the first half of last season, they propped up on Ivan Tony. Visser could be about to go to Newcastle. Did he not go last year?
No.
It was the year before.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Time flies when you're having fun. Let's not forget, Johan Visser, right? Potentially is going to go to Newcastle or Spurs, maybe. That looks probably likely. They've
Yeah,
obviously
it does.
lowballed the initial offer. They've lost Mbeumo already. They've lost Thomas Frank, which I think is the biggest loss out of all of those. And I back Brentford to bounce back probably quite well eventually, but this season is looking pretty ominous, I would say.
No, I agree with you. It's worth saying as well, they lost Norgard, who was the club captain.
Of
So you've
course.
took out the 2 leaders out of the dressing room and the 2 best players.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cogs in it. We all know Brentford are a well-oiled machine, and you
Yeah.
can remove one cog and replace it, and they've done that time and time again. But they've removed 4 of the most important people in the football club, and it remains to be seen how they're going to replace them. I agree with
Or
you.
with their fucking throwing coach.
Yeah, and I think actually looking at the odds of other teams to stay up, and I don't want to jump the gun, I think the bookies are thinking that one of the established Premier League teams are going to drop out this season, and I see it as well. And
It's going to be
Brentford,
Leeds that stay up, don't they, as well? They've got Daniel Farke. They've got Premier League experience recently. I don't think they'll make the same mistakes as last time. So it's not like last season you struggled to see out of the promoted sides
Yeah.
who could stay up. This time I think it's still a bit of a longer shot, but I like 3.5-1. I liked 4-1 more, but
Yeah.
I didn't put it on in
No,
time,
I like it as
unfortunately.
well. I like it.
Nice. We've won the boys over.
How much you
one
putting
goal.
on that one?
£2.
So
Right.
this
And
last bet must be huge. Then you must really think that this one's going to go on.
Yeah.
Knowing Sam, it'll be an evens.
Evens? I'm not a psycho. It's 4-6, this one. So with this remaining £6, it covers my initial stakes for the other 2.
Right, okay.
There's method to the madness. It's
Right.
4-6 exactly. £6 on returns my
This better be
£4 from the
good.
other 2. It's hedging my bets. There's no way at the end of the season I don't have at least a tenner.
Go on.
Probably more. It's Man United to finish outside the top 6.
No, I like
Sacrilege,
it.
I know.
I like it.
Sacrilege, I know. I'm sorry, Sir Jim. But it's not happening. I'd have backed top 8, but it wasn't an option. So top 6, 4-6. That's my banker for this one, covering my stakes of my other picks.
No, I like that as well.
Yes,
I do.
yes.
That links
Yeah.
into my banker. I've got an evens banker at Villa to finish above Man United.
Oh, nice.
I like it.
Evens.
Yeah,
Evens for that is
evens.
crazy. That
Yeah.
could potentially, we were talking about adding a feature to the website where some sort of AI would tell you if you're making a bet and the odds could be better by kind of slightly tweaking it. That is a good example of that. If you were
Yeah.
going to back United to finish outside the top 6
Yeah.
at 4-6, but you can get Villa at evens to finish above them, then maybe that's the better related pick.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the pick of United to finish out the top 6, and I do think that Villa will finish above them. So it is a better pick fundamentally. Villa in the Europa League makes it difficult shout, especially.
And they'll probably go deep because it's Emery.
And the PSR issues and whatnot. They're having. It'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out. Because I think if United sign another couple of decent players and Villa have to let a couple of players go, then it changes the picture a little bit. But as it stands, I like it a lot. What else have you got for us, Lewis?
The next one is a bit of a long shot, 2-1. I think based on the signings already spent and the money invested, Sunderland not to be relegated, I think it's going to be a big one.
Wow,
That
that
is
is
a
bold.
huge
Which
one.
again kind of ties into my Brentford one.
Yeah, is that 2-1? Did you say?
Yeah, 2-1 odds.
How much of your tenner are you sticking on that?
We gotta go at least 20%, so we'll go £2.
Yeah. How much were you putting on your banker? Sorry, I don't think we covered that.
We'll put £6 on the banker.
Yes.
Right, nice. And what's your final pick?
The final pick. So the top London club at 9 to 4 odds is Chelsea.
Oh,
Oh,
Jason,
it's
waiting with bated
bold.
breath.
It is
Oh,
bold.
oh.
I
Wow.
think
What makes you think Chelsea will finish above Arsenal?
I think when you look at the Club World Cup, Liam Delap, João Pedro, big players that could fit into any squad and score 10 to 15 goals easily. But when you have both of them in the same squad, you got Cole Palmer. Now, I know they lost Madueke, but it's still a very strong Chelsea squad that you could probably get 3 or 4 lineups out of.
Yeah.
Now, if Arsenal lose Havertz or Saka or even Raya, like they're big players. That,
Or Zubamendi, now that Partey's gone. If they
yeah,
lose Zubamendi this season, who's playing in that deep role?
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Do you
Is it
not
going to
think
be
though that
Arteta's last season as well?
Do you not think Chelsea going deep in the Club World Cup, well, going all the way in it though, and Arsenal having the summer off? Do you not think that'll have an impact later on in the season when we get congested around Christmas time?
Well, they've not if they've got 3 squads that could compete anyway.
True.
Yeah.
But you Cole Palmer, and, Enzo Fernandez, and these kind of players, they don't get much rest, do they? I mean, we saw Cole Palmer at the end of last season; his form was in the toilet. So I
Now
think
he's back though, baby.
he does look back. I'll give you that. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how the Club World Cup does affect them. But if anyone can deal with it, I do agree that it is Chelsea with that depth.
Also, Lewis' comment went under the radar then. Mikel Arteta's last season, he
I know
said.
Jason
Yeah.
sat there desperate to get a word in, aren't you?
Go on, Jason.
I think it could be.
I think the Chelsea situation that I just don't see them very settled as a club. You know, they've gone on. It's kind of a Chelsea thing to do, isn't it? You know, they're not very good as a team, and yet they'll win some sort of trophy. They did it a few years ago when they beat us to win the Europa League. They did it when they won the Champions League under Thomas Tuchel. The pre-season, is basically a glorified pre-season. It flatters to deceive. There's still huge problems there at the club, and I disagree with that. With the Mikel Arteta comment, I don't see him leaving this season. I don't see why he would want to or need to. You know, if he doesn't win a trophy this year, there will be pressure on, but there's not going to be any pressure to sack him even at the end of the season if there's no trophy. I think he's here to stay for a few years as yet, at least till he's won a few trophies and kind of created a little bit of a lineage at the club.
But if
I
you
think
sign Gyökeres for 80 odd million, Madueke for what was he
50
odd, Zubamendi for 50 odd, you're spending all this money. Surely Arteta has to win something this season, given second and a sort of half title challenge alone isn't enough. You can't keep getting by on that.
And with
So-
that, Jason, what are your picks?
Yes, so with my predictions, my banker, which I'm putting a fiver on, is Brighton to get into a European competition
Whoa.
next year. I think they ended last season so strongly. The underlying data points to it. And they're just one of those teams that buys well, manages well. When they sell on players, they seem to invest it really cleverly. And we kind of seen that again. So I'm excited to see what they do with their summer signings.
But last season, their data was incredible. They just sort of struggled to a few draws, especially against the weaker teams. And you can't expect them to do that again this season. You'd think that they'll beat the promoted sides because they drew against all 3 promoted sides at home. If you added those points on, they would have finished in the top 4. So I agree with you, Jason. I think they were underrated last season.
So my third pick, and this one is going to offend a lot of fans out there, but it's Forest, Tottenham, and Manchester United to finish out of European positions. I don't think they'll be anywhere near Europe, any of those 3 teams. Forest, they'll be lucky to get in the top half. Tottenham, I think, might be like 9th because they're probably the best of the bunch. But again, I'm so sorry to say this, Sam, but Manchester United signings are going to be flops and they're going to do so badly again this season. Lewis, do you agree with that Forest, Tottenham and Man United are not going to get Europe?
I think Forest could be a good pick. I think Spurs will flourish under Thomas Frank. I think they'll be all right. 9th probably is about right. It all depends on the clubs above. Now, do Newcastle sell Isak? Does that affect them? I can't really see anyone else dropping. I think Villa get in some European football. Brighton will probably be up there. United, we all know, won't finish nowhere near.
I'm not sure about the Tottenham pick. I think They've made a lot of signings. They've got a very good manager. I think if any of those three teams are going to get in Europe, I think it will be Tottenham. I think Man United are still a long way off. I think they'll be better this season because obviously they don't have Europe themselves. They've got some better players in the starting 11, which normally makes a football team better. But I think they'll be, ninth in that region, eighth or ninth or 10th, really. Forest, I think, will be bottom half, no doubt about it. They've sold some of their best players, but we need to know the odds before I could tell you if it was a good pick or not.
15 to 20 to 1. I think it's a great pick.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the
it'd have to
Spurs
be in
bit
that
is going to.
region. Now, listen, I'm putting my whole tenner on this.
One
That's how
pick?
confident I
One
am.
pick?
Yeah, because I love this
Woo!
pick. If there's one outright pick this season that you need to listen to, this is the one. So it's a little double. First of all, I've gone for Leeds top newcomer. So you actually get better odds for top newcomer in the Premier League than you do for Leeds to stay up. Interestingly, which I think does point to what you were talking about earlier, that the bookies can see one of the established Premier League clubs dropping out.
It might
Or
also
two.
show that Lewis's pick for Sunderland is all right as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So that only comes in just under 2 to 1 Leads to be top newcomer. But then when you double it up with this, and this one's a real spicy one, it brings it out at 7.25 to 1, and that is Luton Town to win League One outright. Hear me out on this one. 2 years ago, they were in the Premier League. Last season, they got relegated in a shock season. They've lost a fair few players since then, but they're now in League One, where they're still receiving parachute payments from Premier League and there's no spending restrictions in League One. There's no PSR at all. They've already brought in some top quality loan players, and I think that they could do what Birmingham did last year and essentially just buy the league. So the squad at the moment, they've not spent a ton of money on outright players, as I mentioned, but they've brought players in on big, big wages. They've been taking players from championship clubs and offering them huge wages. And I think they'll start League One next season with a top quality side. As for Leeds for me are the most likely promoted side to stay up. Some of the signings they've made are brilliant. They signed two centre halves, two centre mids, and a striker. So you can tell they're trying to bulk up that spine of the team. They've got that new centre defensive midfielder from the Bundesliga. It's called Stacked. He
Right.
has the best defensive data out of any midfielder in the whole Bundesliga last season.
What,
So you can,
tackles, interception?
tackles, interceptions, and
Aerial
crosses,
duels?
aerial duels, sorry,
Oh.
yeah. And I think that they were the best team in the championship by a mile last season. So I see Leeds as real contenders to stay up this season, and that's why I've got them in my double as well.
So you got this 8 to 1, is it?
Yeah.
So, right, Isak, top scorer, 7 to 1. Or Ollie's Leeds to finish as the top promoted side,
Luton to win
Luton
League
to
One.
win League One outright. Which is more likely of them? Drop us a comment. Which one is better pick for a start? I honestly think Isak is more likely to come in.
Nah.
It's one pick versus two.
I
like
know,
that already.
but if you had 90 million to spend in League One, you'd fancy your chances of going up, I would say. It is worth saying as well, if you don't fancy that kind of risk, if you just did Luton to get promoted and Leeds to be the top newcomer, that comes in at 3 to 1. So that's a lower risk pick if you want to go down that route. But I've put my balls on the table, sticking the full tenner on it, and I'm going to come out of here with 80 quid in my pocket.
Yes.
I think definitely going for the to be promoted some route is
Mhm.
probably a lot safer.
Yeah, because you've almost got a double chance, haven't you? Because even if they don't win or go up in the outright, in the automatic places, you've got the playoff chance.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
mean, I think Luton will do what Birmingham did last year. I mean, they signed Jay Stansfield for 15 million from Fulham, and then in January, despite being top of the league, they spent a load of dough then as well because they've got their eyes on next season, the Championship, where there's PSR and whatnot. So it makes sense to keep spending as much money as you can now.
But it's worth saying that Birmingham brought in Tom Brady, dude, and they had a load of people that are a massive vested interest in pumping as much dough as possible.
I looked at Championship outright and relegation as well. You couldn't even bet on Birmingham or Wrexham to get relegated from the Championship. That's how confident the bookies are.
Jesus.
That
I mean,
both
I'm
teams
spread
don't-
5 to 1 for Birmingham to win the championship next season.
Mate,
That's insanity.
Wrexham
Yeah.
Wrexham and Birmingham to finish in the top half were less than 2 to 1. So like basically,
Jesus.
sorry, less than even. So both bookies think Wrexham and Birmingham will be in the top half of the Premier League.
All the League One, and this is good for the Discord as well. League One, League Two data is now live on the website because it's so close. So the predictions are in, the odds are in. You can see obviously all the data going back to last season and stuff as well. So take it with a pinch of salt at the start of the season because you've got new signings, you've got new managers, you've got all sorts going on. You can't read too much into the data from the back end of last season, but it's always like thin ice or soft ground at the start of the season.
Yeah,
Innit?
it
It's
is,
a bit
yeah.
difficult to navigate.
So that is our predictions for the season. Let us know if you agree or disagree, and keep track with us throughout the season to see how our £10 does.